Hello everyone, welcome to Diaries episode 2. If you guys are new here, welcome. I am a first year medical student at Dow International Medical University, and as of 31st March 2024, I have officially survived the second month of my first year. March wasn't the most ideal month. Not only Ramzan was approaching, but also our first foundation module exam was just around the corner. The AMC follows a modular system. In first year, there are 5 modules, foundation being the very first, in which we cover basic of different subjects. And in the second ashra, we were subjected to vivas and auspices related to these subjects. Based on my feelings and emotions, I have divided March into 3 phases. Firstly, the pre-examination phase. For every student, I believe the most hardest part is getting a fixed schedule during Ramzan. You can be sleep deprived if you don't sleep on time. You might not have time enough to study. And so was it for me. I'm someone who follows a prospective timetable. I take a notebook and subject wise, I list down topics of all the lectures that were covered. And then I divide those topics in the span of days that are left before the exam. For example, if I have 14 days left before the exam, I'm going to divide those topics into 14 days. I would take 3 topics for each day. One of the topic would be more comprehensive and something that I have not read before. The 2 other topics, they will be from a different subject that requires just skimming through or a sort of a revision. For example, if I took pathology, I will pair it up with community medicine or microbiology, which in first year is very easy and we can just read the slides. That's it. If I would have followed this religiously, I know that I would have been spared of cramming at the end days, but apparently it did not happen because there were so many things going on. So this led to the second phase, that is the examination phase. So in modular system, the paper is divided into 2 sections. First is the viva and OSPE, and second is the theory paper. If you guys don't know what vivas and OSPEs are, OSPE is basically pictorial questions that check your clinical knowledge. For example, disease and its treatment. Vivas, on the other hand, is basically an interactive Q&A session with your subject teacher in which your theory knowledge is more tested. Vivas and OSPEs were something that I was never subjected to before. And even though our seniors were of great help and they guided us a lot, there was still an anxious feeling if I'm going to do better or not. So the whole exam week was a nightmare. I had to appear for Viva and OSPE for anatomy. That includes gross anatomy, histology, and embryology. Then for biochemistry and physiology, and then pathology, that also includes microbiology. So, specifically talking about biochemistry and physiology, they are comprehensive subjects. But for foundation module, most of the topics that we learn are basically from our A levels or from MDCAT. For biochemistry, I believe I was only asked 4 questions that were pretty basic. Physiology was more organized, and I was asked pictorial questions as well and a bunch of questions, but they were relatively easy. So, biochemistry and physiology, they went great, better than my expectations. Pathology is one of the most interesting subjects of foundation module, I believe, because it's easy and it's exact opposite of physiology. And I like to learn more diseases than normal functioning of a body. That's just me. But pathology had microbiology as well. Now, microbiology is a little on the tougher side, but it's easy to digest. So, pathology viva was also great, and the teacher asked me like few questions, and I was done. Anatomy, on the other hand, compared to every other viva or OSPE for any other subject, it was the worst I could ever imagine. What happened was that embryology is very comprehensive, so I did not have time to revise it either. During the whole Viva setup, I was reluctant to go to a specific professor because he was the one who taught us embryology, and I knew he was going to ask us questions related to that. But apparently, I was the one he called for. And when I sat in front of him, I was pretty nervous. The first two questions that he asked were from gross anatomy, and I answered them. Then he came on to embryology. I just had nothing in my mind. So after 4 to 5 minutes of complete silence, he asked me that, "What's the problem?" And I said that, "I'm sorry, sir, but I haven't revised embryology." And he gave me the look, which wasn't really good. And then he asked me again a question of embryology. So the same thing happened with one of my friends as well. And she replied in the same way. And the professor moved on and asked her questions from gross and histology. So I believe he was pissed off at me. Only thirdly follows the last stage, that is the post examination stage. So during the whole week, even though I was not sleep deprived, I was sleeping, but I was not having a deep, well sleep. For example, I knew who was coming in my room. I knew what time it was. I was waking up at 9:25, 9:45, then at 10, even without the alarms. So I always felt that I lacked sleep, and constantly in my mind I had this thought that I needed to get up and study. Even though I wasn't able to push my body to do it, my mind was completely telling me that I have to do it. So after my exams were over, I took 2 or more days to de stress. And I just sat down, I closed my books, and I started painting, something that I wanted to do. Then I watched movies, and I even went out with my friends. This was a gift to myself because I know that this is something I'm going to be exposed to frequently. But if I don't reward myself for my hard work, I may not be able to survive, or I may not replenish my energy. Even though March was more difficult than I expected, I know that I've wrapped it up in a good note. I did analyze all the situations and all the circumstances that I faced during this month, and I hope that in the next month, that is April, I may be able to do much more better. And that's it. Thank you all for staying till the end of this video, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye.